prenuptial agreement is a contract between two people who plan to get married that let the parties set out in advance how their property will be divided if the marriage ends. They are commonly called prenups or sometimes premarital agreements, and are most commonly used in connection with divorce proceedings. We're eForms, the largest online database of fillable legal forms. In this video, we'll address Illinois prenuptial agreements, including what Illinois prenups can and cannot contain, requirements for a valid prenup, and reasons an otherwise valid agreement might be set aside. Illinois prenuptial agreements serve a vital function. Divorces can easily become messy and complicated, and having a document created before things reach that point can greatly simplify the division of assets. But they should be approached carefully, because even the suggestion to create a prenup can cause tension in a relationship. Along with an attorney, it may also be advisable to consult with a financial professional. Be sure to watch to the end of this video for a link to find official prenuptial agreement templates from eForms. First, what can Illinois prenuptial agreements do? Illinois law gives couples a lot of latitude in drafting prenuptial agreements. They can cover property owned individually by either of the partners or property they own together. And they can assign or limit just about any possible right, the ability to buy, sell, mortgage, and more regarding that property. They can also set conditions for the future, including limitations on potential spousal support, and apply to other legal documents like wills and trusts. And in the case of partners hailing from different states or couples who are living in one state but plan to move to another, they can decide which state's law will apply to interpreting and applying the prenup. So what can't prenuptial agreements do? Although Illinois law provides a lot of flexibility regarding prenuptial agreements, there are limits. Prenuptial agreements cannot contain a provision that would violate criminal law. They also cannot force the parties to do things that are in violation of public policy or unconscionable. These terms are somewhat vague, and if there is a question about whether a provision in a prenuptial agreement meets one of these, the issue will ultimately be decided by a judge, but there are some guidelines. Prenuptial agreements are like other contracts. They should not be exceptionally unfair to one side. One thing that is definitely not allowed is to limit the obligation to provide child support. And although it is possible to limit or even eliminate spousal support, a judge may nonetheless require it later under certain circumstances. We've addressed what prenuptial agreements can and cannot contain. What about the formalities? Illinois' prenuptial agreements must be written down, not oral. Both parties have to sign, although the agreement becomes effective once the marriage occurs, not when the document is signed. And even if both parties do sign, the agreement won't be valid if there is evidence that one of the parties was coerced, meaning signed against his or her will. To prevent this from happening, it is essential that each party has the opportunity to meet with a separate lawyer to review and advise. At some point before signing, the parties should also make a full disclosure of their assets and financial obligations. If one spouse doesn't do this, the other spouse can argue that the whole agreement should be set aside. In the event that the parties later want to modify the prenup, they must do so in signed writing. Although a marriage is sometimes viewed as necessary consideration for a prenup, no additional consideration is needed to modify a prenuptial agreement. Though it may require a difficult conversation, creating a prenuptial agreement is a wise financial decision for some couples. If you're looking for a template for an official Illinois prenuptial agreement, click the link here. And don't forget to subscribe to keep up with videos on other family and property law issues.